Welcome to Antoinette and Friends, you guys. Just let's answer this one question. This is from Italy. What have you learned? I'm translating because I speak Italian.
I speak Italian too. Get the hell away from me.
There wasn't a woman who looked like us. They were all grown, and they were talking about their facelifts to their husbands, which is where I am now. That's exactly my career.
You are such an open book. I want to know something that nobody knows about you, and I'm going to get it out of him today.
I might forget what nobody knows.
To me, like to watch as a doorman and to watch all these great comedians, it was like a college. It was a college of sorts where you got to watch the professors every night, and you can learn as much watching a bad comedian as you could watching a good comedian. You know what I mean?
Did you get laid that night? And he said, yeah. I go, now I got to start carrying around a notebook and pen. But that's a true story, and it just made my day.
Hi, everyone. So Norman and I got bumped off just as we were about to answer your questions and say thank you so much for joining the broadcast.
This is a first for me, by the way, so I'm learning. She's the guide here. So, but I wanted to be able to see who you guys are and talk to you. And this is, I always think if something goes wrong, find the right in it. So this is more exciting than just typing answers. So let's go.
Yeah. Everyone was saying, Norman, while the broadcast was going, that it was a great experience to have an interesting conversation about creativity and how to find that in ourselves. And I'm watching some of the people on the screen comment now. If you have questions for us, we'll take them. Hi, Hadar. Oh my God, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. What was the question, Lauren? We have my whole team here on a device. There was a great question that somebody asked Norman about, have you ever burned out? And what do you do when you burn out?
Yeah. Unfortunately, another way to answer this is I'm always on fire and other people burn out around me. But now the creative process, when you're actually in that thread of energy, you are energized. What I do have is periods where I had self-doubt to say, what the hell am I doing? Is this just frivolous nonsense? And, what is the impact in the world? So that duality of confidence and uncertainty actually is a part of the creative process. We need that to have a certain humility and at the same time that unwavering resolve to bring one's voice out. So yeah, it requires a vulnerability to acknowledge both those sides, but the self-doubt can be tough. I can tell you that. I'm sure everyone knows that, we all go through that. And
actually, didn't you tell a story once about the first thing that actually launched your career was a big moment of self-doubt for you? Remember that you said that you had taken these photographs of the band and then you were embarrassed?
Well, yeah, there's a self-doubt after everything.
That's kind of a self-doubt moment.
But when I gave up medicine and I came to New York and I couldn't practice and I'm just like, hey, this arrogance or naivete or courage, whichever way it was, I'm going to be this artist. But it's a year and a half into, or about a year of it, I've had no work whatsoever. And I'm walking the streets of New York and thinking, what have I done? Why did I stop doing this amazing work at this hospital in Soweto? And it was the hardest time. And then, of course, after the first shoot that I did, I went back and I looked at the pictures and I hated everything. So, all of that stuff comes up. It's a normal and a healthy piece of feedback that if we use it as feedback and say, okay, first of all, who is this doubting? And then you can find what is my true desire here? What is what voice do I want to bring into the world? And, that's where it starts. I want to express my voice in the world. And how do I do that? That's the first statement that Ray Charles says when I ask him about his voice. But his voice is very beautiful, where he says, if you can sing what's in your heart and keep time, that's a very, very powerful, fundamental revelation from that incredible artist. So we could talk the whole 15 minutes on one question.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of beautiful comments. Hello from Russia. Thank you for this awesome and inspiring interview. It was such a pleasure to be able to talk to Norman about his lifelong career and also the work that is sort of culminating right now. It's like Norman he's I think the first photographer to actually film sessions, and it's such an intimate experience to capture these artists in a very intimate environment. And now his work is going to be shown to the world.
Well, in a certain way, and this is really interesting, this is the first time I've done something like this, but it's a certain way, a preview. So I filmed over 500 sessions with artists, and that material now is in the process of being edited to put out in a very, first of all, it needs to have the emotional authenticity. That's what I always look for. But there's also this incredible doorway, a portal that opens into the deepest motivations of these incredible artists who work at the higher reaches of human potential. So there's a question here that says, your energy is very intense. Has anyone had that effect on you? And what I want to say, I work with a lot of amazing powerhouse, innovative artists, and it's always a two-way transmission. So I get, inspired by the courage and the vulnerability and the love that people, are demonstrating in action. They are taking the ideas, as I mentioned in the beginning, they're bringing what they are conceiving in the feminine energy, conception as a feminine energy, and then acting out with incredible courage and making it real using the will. And what the will is, it's not the old world like willpower. It's an openness, a willingness to act in spite of the fear.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Okay, so there's a lot of questions.
There's a question now that comes up. Have you ever been starstruck?
Yeah, I'm actually interested to know that.
Yeah,
Anybody
well,
like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm shooting this person?
Yeah, look, everyone at a certain point projects onto people that are out there that are very, very public. And my first big session I'm shooting, and the first one that was filmed, I'm shooting Ike and Tina Turner. And at that point, they were the biggest R&B group, and they were the crossover from, the black world of R&B music into being accepted by a white audience. And I had listened to Tina Turner in South Africa at one point, and the idea that I would be standing 6 feet away from Tina Turner, was inconceivable. But what happens, and this happens to every artist, as Antoinette says, the first step is your name is called, you're on, and you forget your name. And I remember standing there with them in the beginning, and I go, oh shit, they've asked me to do the shoot. I have to deliver. And so what you do, somehow you pull on those aspects of self that go in spite of the fear. And at a certain point, we were just having incredible fun together. And, I realized at that point, they're human beings with their own vulnerabilities, as I do. And I actually have a very important role. I need to let them be safe because there's cameras everywhere. They're very visible, and I need to honor that. So what happened is my motivation to be of service in a certain way to create safety for them superseded at a certain point my starstruck thing of, oh my God, this is not even real, and I could have gone into paralysis, but I made a choice to just let that go, and it was a beautiful, wonderful experience, and we became friends after that.
I love that. The question is,
yes.
What would you advise to help me believe more in myself and to be more comfortable in my authentic self? That's a lovely question.
It basically says, do the inner work to discover your authentic self. Yeah. If you don't know yourself, which is basically if you're out of touch with your emotional truth. And emotions, by the way, are a combination of feelings and thoughts. It's not like emotions are just emotion and then there's the intellectual side. You can never have the two disconnected. Every emotion is connected to a belief. And the belief is really important to find out, what do I believe about myself? Do I believe I'm a winner? Do I believe I'm a loser? Do I believe that if things get tough, I withdraw rather than getting out there and trying to overcome and overpower? There's all this inner world dynamic. And in order to be out there as a person expressing yourself, you need to discover that self. And that self is a combination of outer action, but inner reflection. So it's a combination of two. It's a journey. It requires commitment and courage to go there, but there's no free ride. You cannot just go, hey, I'm going to just be confident. You need to know who, when you use the word I am going to be confident, who is I?
Lovely. I want to add to that.
Yes,
I'm going to add to that. I think it's about getting to know yourself, and getting to know yourself is the process of self-love. And I do that by just being very conscious and present with my own feelings. And when those feelings are coming up, I identify them and I give them the space to be. And that forges a certain kind of relationship with myself. It's like it's an act of self-care to be able to go, oh, I'm feeling this way right now. What just happened that made me feel this way? And it's okay to feel this way. And that makes you have a relationship with yourself. And then from there, then you kind of have to do the work. What tools can I use? Where did that come from? What triggered that in me? Was that a trigger from, when I was 6 years old and my father did this? Or when, so it's constantly being present with yourself. And I think that's why meditation is obviously so important right now, and people are using it. Even people who've never meditated before are being prescribed that in Western medicine, because you do have to have a certain kind of presence with your own body, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anyway, so that's how I do it. The
yes,
question is, Norman, will you be doing another showcase soon?
Now this is because it came up with Antoinette asking me to be a guest. And then I said, well, okay, let's work in my studio.
You didn't say okay right away.
Let's use multiple cameras and be able to do it as a real dialogue, because I don't engage in interviews. When I work with an artist, I don't interview them. I'm in a creative conversation where you create ideas and you allow your imagination to flow. So what's about to happen is we're about to start, hopefully bi-monthly, streaming events out of my studio, where I'll be showing more and more of the filmed material, and actually starting to take the process I've been on called Conversations with the Artist, to move it into conversations with people out there, conversations with the world, conversations with the audience, because as we do that, we discover the realness of who we are. And I want to just say one thing about the last question. One of the biggest things is, if you are honest about the way you're feeling and not ashamed of it, and you can say, as I learned at a certain point, not to be ashamed of the fact that I was scared. Once I can say to someone, hey, I'm scared, then I can continue on. So it's about accepting those aspects of self, because we're never kind of not scared. Fear is, it's like love is an accelerator and fear is a brake. And you kind of live your life kind of like, the fear sometimes says, don't go there. And it's actually giving you real information, and you shouldn't go there. But in the creative process, go there. Different than,
yes,
I'm not going to put my hand on a hot stove. Fear says, don't do that.
Right.
But in terms of discovering who you are and being able to be willing to express the truth of your emotions, I'm scared to do that, but the benefit of it is it's incredibly empowering if you do that with courage.
Yes. I'm going to take the last question, which is, I'm translating from Italian. It says, what would you like to do that you haven't done already in your big, beautiful life?
I just know I've come to a place where I'm making the moment by moment choice to do my heart's desire. So I know that we all have the capacity, if we really know and know how to access those inner resources that are the nature or the grace of being human, that we can do anything if our passion is in it. So I don't know how to answer that question other than I'm having fun discovering every moment another possibility, and then it just gets sometimes slower down. So
Yeah.
So
I know, right? It says slow down by the
but she's
world.
as bad as me. She's as good as me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that. It says, what can we do for healing our world? I think we're all trying to do it, right? Isn't that what we're trying to
yes,
do?
yeah. The underlying drive is the world has come to a place where something went wrong, and that's a big story. What happened was the ego became the guidance system, and we aligned with our ego, not with our higher selves. So what happens is there's personal work, first of all, to heal our own egos. And the ego, and I'm talking about the negative ego, we need egos. And the ego is the part of consciousness that gives you information about the physical world. There are other dimensions that give you information about the higher worlds. So we need to mature that ego. And in the process of us doing that work, our energy field, our resonance shifts, and we actually exist in a holographic field. So you don't have to actually go out and march to have impact. You can have impact just by changing yourself.
Absolutely.
And then at a certain point, you can decide what kind of outer world action do I want to take? But I want to take it from a place of a centeredness and an ownership that is never perfect. It's always in a process of flow, and you need to be willing to courageously allow yourself sometimes to make mistakes. I went off sideways there.
I wasn't sure you were finished.
Is this over? Is it gone?
It's not over yet. We thank you all for being here, and thank you for tuning in to the broadcast. More to come. We love interacting with you guys. I really appreciate, Norman, that you took the time to not only be on the live show, but then you took the broadcast and added the love and the creativity and the masterful energy that you bring to everything you do.
Thank you. It takes a village.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much. Welcome to Antoinette and Friends, you guys. Just let's answer this one question. This is from Italy. What have you learned? I'm translating because, I speak Italian.
I speak Italian too. Get the hell away from me.
There wasn't a woman who looked like us. They were all grown, and they were talking about their facelifts or their husbands, which is where I am now. That's exactly my career.
You are such an open book. I want to know something that nobody knows about you, and I'm going to get it out of him today.
I might have forgot what nobody knows.
To me, like to watch as a doorman and to watch all these great comedians, it was like a college. It was a college of sorts where you got to watch the professors every night, and you can learn as much watching a bad comedian as you could watching a good comedian. You know what I mean?
Did you get laid that night? And he said, yeah. I go, now I got to start carrying around a notebook and pen. But that's a true story, and it just made my day.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, let's get Jerry. I don't know, lie to him. Tell him we got 1 billion followers. He's not gonna check. Or maybe we get Sandler. I know somebody who shops in the same supermarket. Yeah, let's give it a try. Or David Spade. Let's get David Spade. I don't know, threaten him. Make him an offer he can't refuse. Yeah.